Jake Isham, I swear in another world we were supposed to cross paths because when I was growing up, I wanted to be a talent agent. Like all of my college internships revolved around that. Worked at CIA for a hot minute. Like I was just like, this is the path I want to go down. And I feel like you're in that world, but now I'm bringing you into this world, which we'll get into in a second. But before we do, we ask all of our guests just like an icebreaker question to get the ball rolling, which is, what do you wish you had known before becoming a solopreneur?
I mean, just the sheer volume it takes to be successful. It is. I literally just had a friend DM me on Instagram, and she was like, "Hey, I'm just messaging a few friends to feel free to be honest and truthful with me. Like, is there anything I need to improve? Is there something like, do I not dress right? Is my quality not good enough? This." I was like, "Look, there's nothing you're doing wrong. You're just not doing enough of it." And it's been the hardest lesson that I've had to learn. Like it, the sheer volume of work it takes is unfathomable.
Well, because you keep seeing like there's like get rich schemes online or like throw up an Etsy shop and you'll make 20 grand in a week. And it's,
Throw up some videos on TikTok and do TikTok shop and you'll make 6 figures.
yes, exactly.
Like it is.
It happens,
There
but it's
was
nothing wrong.
I was talking to on the TikTok shop thing, just again, show you quantity of views. For a brand to start really making money on TikTok shop, they need 25,000 videos to start making to get real money to break 1 million, I think, on TikTok shop. But again, that's top line. That's still not profit. That's not shipping. That's they're making a 15 to 25% profit margin on that. For a brand to crush it, they need 25,000 videos online on TikTok. So people just don't understand the sheer volume it takes.
So doing the math, we're on like episode 275. How many more videos?
No, but I mean, but that shows you right there, episode 275. That's amazing. That shows you guys have put in the work. And you guys still probably, hey, we got a lot more to do.
Mm-hmm.
You have 275 episodes. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's so and it can be so discouraging for people. Like hearing that stat and knowing you've still put in the work, it can be a wah, wah.
That's the thing. If you're just willing to just grind and just put the head down and really look at not the 1 year goal, not the 6-month goal, but what is the 5-year goal? And if you're willing to just look at, and this has kind of been my big shift of view in the last couple months, which is less looking at I want to make $1 million, or I want to make this amount of money, or achieve this milestone. It's less, what are the actions I'm willing to do? What are the actions that I put the target in terms of actions done rather than an achievement achieved? That's not a great way of saying it, but
I like it.
But Jake, I just want to second what you're saying. This is kind of my third big thing that I've done since I started going into business for myself. And it's taken at least 10 years to even get good. I mean, the last one I started in 2004, sold it in 2020. I mean, that's 16 years. So this get rich in 6 months thing, yeah, sure, it can happen, but for most of us mere mortals, we're grinding it out.
But the get rich is you saw only the last 12 months. You only saw that 2019 to 2020 of that business. You didn't see it from 2004. I know it from I'm not an athlete. I grew up playing sports, but I don't call myself an athlete. But my brothers were both athletes. One of my brothers played D1 college ball. And if you look at any of these pro athletes, right, they're playing pro ball at 22 years old. Whether it's baseball, football, basketball, right? They're early 20s. And you're like, wow, overnight success. But you don't see that they've literally been doing this since they were 4 years old. So they've literally been doing it for 20 years. And it's the same thing in business. It's the same thing across any industry.
Mm-hmm. It is so true. Well, you had to put in those reps. You were talking about the 25,000 videos, and you know what you're talking about because you are a filmmaker. So you know what it takes to create the content. And you also say along these lines that every business now must be a media business. So for a solopreneur with limited time, because they're doing so much, what does that actually look like in practice?
Well, I'm going to give two angles on this. First is the caveat is no, you don't have to be a media business at the start. You need to just first find a marketing channel that works for you. Now that can be media, but it doesn't have to be. But to build a brand, a long-term brand, you need to become a media company. And that's kind of, you could say, the small asterisk to that comment. Now, it all starts with a gradient. Do what you can, right? The cliche, Rome wasn't built in a day. Mr. Beast started at 0 subscribers. Like, all of the big greats that we admire, whether it's the Grant Cardones in the business space, you could say the Grant Cardones, the Alex Hormozis, they all started with 0 subscribers. Like, they all started with 0 following. And it starts with just putting out a video and harks back to what we talked about on the icebreaker question, which was the willingness to just put in the work and put out the next video, put out the next video. If you could do 100 videos in a year, even if they're just 1-minute videos, amazing. That's 2 a week. That's all that is. Take your phone, make a 2-minute video or 1-minute video twice a week and put it up there. The next year, you're going to get a little better. The next year, you're going to get better. And if you're willing to just put that in terms of a 5-year trajectory, you're going to have a brand. And so, but from you could say a very nuanced tactical standpoint, this has kind of been my secret way of telling everybody is look at it like the gym. Can I dive deep for a second, or we want to keep high level?
Go.
Deep.
Okay, so I'm going to say Monday, but your Monday is just day 1, right? This is a 7-day routine. This is my social media workout plan in the sense of, in the gym, you go, I always compare social media to working out because to me, it's the best 1-for-1. And, where people are like, oh yeah, chest and biceps on day 1, legs on day 2, back and arms and on day 3. I don't work out. And so I don't know that, but I know from social media. Monday, ideation. Come up with at least 10 ideas, ideally 15. And there's a lot of different ways to do that, which we can get into later. Tuesday, you prep. Okay, do I need any props? Do I need what locations am I going to do that? What gear, lights, etc. Great. This is all should be about an hour, no more than an hour. Day 3, you shoot about 7 videos. If you can do 10, it'd be great. But 7 videos, and you can do that in 60 minutes. That should be very easy. Day 4 is you edit and you take out all the ums and ers. Get a really good what's called a radio edit, where it's really clean and a good performance. Thursday or Friday, you do the captions. Take the time, put in the captions. Yes, you could do that on the day before, but again, we're spending as little time as possible over a period of times. Friday, take a schedule like Buffer, Social Pilot, Later, Hootsuite, you name it. Schedule all your posts on all your platforms. Again, should be less than an hour. Sunday, you do analytics. You go, and there's certain, I have different opinions about what analytics to track and why you should track certain ones. And then you repeat. Less than an hour a day, you have a post going out on every single platform once a day, every single day.
That's a really, really cool recipe, but I want to make a clarification. And you talked about the gym, right? No, one of the exercises I do is I lift weights. And there's lifting weights isn't just lifting weights. There's good form and there's bad form. And if you do good form, you get great results. If you do bad form, you're just wasting your time mainly, right? So when it comes to doing the videos and things, I mean, yeah, we can do them, but there has to be more to it. There has to be something, the analogy to good form in terms of making videos that you are thinking about and know about, but didn't mention in that description.
100%. But realize the hardest thing, in my opinion, is first just showing up to the gym from personal experience. And so people, the first thing is just getting your butt to the gym. And if you work with a light enough weight, you improve the form over time. So 100%, in terms of the form for videos and whatnot, the hook. And that's where a little bit of that ideation and that prep time in those first 1-2 days is so important. Is that hook, the first 3 seconds, that first sentence is you live and die by it. The second thing is the quality of the video is like in the sense of like, make sure you have a little bit of like the video looks good. Make sure you're kind of well lit. You don't look bad. Like, I mean, as simple as this, look at me right now versus no, I don't look as professional. I don't look as good. Right? Do I look like I know what I'm talking about? Well, you're distracted by the fact that I'm really dark.
For listeners tuning in on audio, he turned off the lights in his office.
Putting on and off the light in front of me.
Right.
And where for the people watching the video and, I put the light back on now and I look more professional. And so it's just a little bit of like the brand and those little nuances. Additionally, you could say a contrarian view of mine right now is that views and followers don't matter. They really don't. Because we are right now in such a interest-based social media era. It was the TikTokification, as they say, where nobody follows and nobody views, but if you speak to your audience, they'll connect with you. Like all you have to do is make videos that's to your audience. And so knowing that, to your point, Joe, is so important. That's part of that good form, is knowing who are you speaking to.
Well, so on that note, so I said you were a filmmaker, but I mean, I'll call you a storyteller through that. I mean, you are a storyteller. Should a story be intertwined throughout all of this? Or like what mistakes do you see people make? Because my assumption is you're going to say, yes, story is very important for a brand, but how do you intertwine that story with these? Is it separate? Tell me everything.
Sure. So story can be the overt, like, I'm going to tell you a story. But also storytelling is just how you structure something, right? A good hook is part of storytelling, right? Where I can say, if I look at Aesop Fables, right? Or any of the amazing stories that, that we know, take the classics, or not even that, you could say the big movies of our generations, which is, Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, Star Wars, where it's like, okay, great, this guy blew up the Death Star. Why do we care? Who is this dude? Like, so it's like, okay, great, in a galaxy far, far away, and a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Oh, okay, we're setting the scene. That's the hook, right? Or there's this ring that controls, is the all, I forget the power of the ring, but you get what I'm trying to say. And so the first element of storytelling I look at is just the aspect of how do you communicate this message? How are you communicating it? Is it interesting? A good story is just interesting. And so you look at great podcasts, for example, like Diary of the CEO, number 2 podcast in the world right now. And they have a fantastic intro that hooks you into this hour-and-a-half episode. And that's just good storytelling. Then obviously, that's the first element of storytelling that I talk about and I work with clients. The second is your stories are your stories. They're only for you to tell. A client that I work with, she is a motivational speaker, wrote a book, and working on building out her brand. And she used to be in music publishing, meaning that she helped put the songwriters and the artists together and created big songs. One of the songs and the careers she helped launch was Christina Aguilera with Genie in a Bottle. She put that whole song together. And that's only her story to tell. Like, none of my other clients, you guys, I can't tell that story because it's her story to tell. And so one of the things I also push with clients is like, what are your experiences that are native to you? For me, I left film school and I was a broke, starving artist. Didn't know how to do this. I went to film school. They don't teach you business in film school. I am the cliche solopreneur. I wasn't thinking about business. But at that time, my youngest brother, who's 5 years younger than me, is making $90,000 a year, making videos in part-time in college. And to Add insult to injury, his camera would be on auto. He didn't know camera settings. But on the weekends, he started making $90,000 a year. And I'm like, what is going on here? And I realized he was a business major and I was a film major. And so that's what got me into business. And that's my talk about storytelling right there. That's their story. And that's also my story to tell. You both have your own stories to tell. And all of the people listening have their own stories to tell. So it's understanding what those stories are. I tell that story pretty much on every podcast, but it's also because that's how I got into business, how I became an entrepreneur.
On the business side of things, going back to the whole media thing, that makes somebody might be interpreting that, like you said, start with one channel, but then if you're a real media company, you might need to expand to other platforms, and that seems very overwhelming. So how can you become like a quote unquote media company and beat that overwhelm?
Totally. Again, in my opinion, it all starts with gradients, right? Start with if you could do one video a week, do one video a week. A mentor explained it beautifully to me, which was just start making any content. Whatever quantity that you can sustainably do, start there. Then increase the quantity to what you can do. As you start to delegate other sides of the business out, okay, great. Maybe you're starting to make more money. You don't cook and clean, but you're doing Uber Eats. And so you're able to leverage a little bit more time to make some more content. Then from there, you can use a scheduler, like, again, later Social Pilot, where you upload it once and it goes to all your platforms. So it's the same piece of content across all platforms. And then from there, you can then improve the quality of the content and go, okay, great. For Instagram, we're going to make a little bit more like this. For LinkedIn, but again, this is over time. This could be year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5. It doesn't all have to be, okay, I got to make 100 pieces of content on every piece of channel, because you're not going to be able to do that.
Question on that, though. I can see how you can, and especially now with some of the technology, it's easy for the systems to reformat it to match the particular platform's video specs and things. But responding to comments is, I think, part of the overwhelm is like, okay, if I'm on LinkedIn, okay, I got to go into LinkedIn and see who's, responding to my posts. Now I got to go to Instagram and do that. And I got to go to Facebook and I got to, TikTok. I don't even know how TikTok works. So but anyway, I think they have comments. And the bottom line is, that feels overwhelming to solopreneurs.
100%. And I hope that you have that overwhelm. That's a good problem. If you're having that many comments that you're like, I'm overwhelmed, realize that is a great problem to have. And I one of the things I constantly stress, not only in my own agency, but with my friends that are entrepreneurs and my family, like we're a bunch of entrepreneurs ourselves, and is we want better problems. We don't want the problems of being broke. We don't want the problems of our phones not ringing and we're not getting emails. We don't want those problems. We want the problems of, I have too many emails. I have too many clients who want to work with us. I have too many comments. I have so much to do. I can't handle it. That's the problems we want. If your videos aren't getting comments, it's because either you're not putting out enough videos or you're not making videos good enough. These are great problems to have. And that's the way I try to really reframe it is these are good things. These aren't bad things. These are good things.
Good answer. I like it.
And then we go, okay, great. Hey, you know what? We all use the restroom. You got 5 minutes while you're using the restroom. Handle some comments. You get to what you can get to.
And don't pretend you're not bringing the phone in the bathroom.
Exactly. There's that. There's, hey, you're eating while lunch. Okay. Instead of watching YouTube and consuming content, reply to some comments there. Maybe don't watch 4 episodes of Netflix at night. Maybe watch only 3 episodes and you have an extra half an hour to reply to comments. Like, audit your time. And it's something that I try to do. And I go, I just played games on my phone for 2 hours today. Ooh, okay. That wasn't the best use of my time. But also at the same time, I'm going to just say, like, look, it depends on your ambition level. Like, it's okay to not be overly ambitious and to have friends who are more ambitious, but it's also okay to be massively ambitious. And for those who are massively ambitious, you're got to work harder, because it takes a lot, again, going back to what we started this whole podcast, but it takes a lot of work to be successful.
So with this content, you talk about like PR as like perceived reality, but how can people go forward with perceived reality without being fake or salesy? And how much should you lean into that versus vulnerability and authenticity? Like, what's the fine line between fake it till you make it and being your true self?
Sure. My perceived reality is not faking shit. I'm not about faking it. But what I am about is presenting the right side. Right. So I'll give you my example of how I actually kind of came up and realized this concept of perceived reality as PR. Is that right after college, I started working with a couple of nonprofits, and I was very fortunate to travel around the world shooting for them. Now, it wasn't glamorous. We slept in very small hotels and we ate very cheaply, and I didn't make any money. They paid for the travels. So it was amazing adventures. And while I was there, what they would do is they'd give me one day to kind of go off and shoot whatever I wanted for me. Okay, great. We've flown you out to Japan. You get basically one day to shoot. Otherwise, I'm shooting about 15 hours a day, shooting content with the person I was traveling with. And in that day, I would shoot a bunch of stuff. At that time, I was really focusing on being a fine art photographer. And I would shoot all this amazing content. And then this was early days of Instagram. I'd come back and I'd post it over the next month. And I clearly remember sitting on my couch one Sunday morning and scrolling on Facebook. This was when Facebook was still cool with millennials. And I saw a bunch of photos from a friend's party. And this is, again, still when the days you'd post photos on Facebook of parties. And I texted my friend. I was like, yo, what the heck? Where was my invite? He's like, I saw your Instagram. You're in Japan. I was like, dude, I've been back for 2 weeks. What are you? And I realized, like, and again, this was early days of social media. People weren't really like saving, scheduling posts, and like you were posting kind of in real time. And I realized, holy crap, that is the power of social media right there. And the same thing happened about just this last year for 4th of July. I posted an old 4th of July photo of when I lived in Florida and taking photos of fireworks. This was like July 3rd. And then I had a bunch of friends who lived in Florida were like, oh, are you out here for this year? I was like, no, that was like 4 years ago when I was out there. And so it's still true to this day. And so that's where I talk about, it's like, just talk to your clients. Your perceived reality is, if you just, again, position yourself as, I'm an authority on this. I know what I know. And don't fake it, because people will call you out on it. Just don't lie. But those photos were my photos, and I was in Japan. Those photos were my photos when I was in Florida. But they represent me authentically. I go, this is my work. The same way I go, hey, this is this information, I'm not saying, oh, I run a, $100 million agency, because I don't. But I have friends who run, 50, $80 million agencies. And I can say, hey, from my friend who runs a $50 million agency, this is what I've learned. So again, that's where that just like perceived reality is, just like really set yourself up as the pro you are.
So speaking of being an authority, what's like a first step that people can take to coming off as an authority when they're kind of going from unknown expert to like, I'm the voice of this space?
Sure. Really simply, just give away the most basic data that you know. You're going to be so surprised. Like, for example, that the tip that I gave earlier about the 7-day program, I was talking to a buddy of mine who's got a big social media following, who literally, that's how he makes his income, is through social media, and has been doing it for 7 years or something like that. And he was like, this is genius. I never thought of this. And then I also mentioned, just get a scheduled tour. And he's like, what's that? I was like, have you been manually posting all your content across your channels for like 8 years? And it's that simple obvious information that can create you as an authority. And you don't realize how simple and how obvious the information is. But it's that stuff where people that go, oh, okay. Because again, the whole goal of social media, in my opinion, as a business owner, is to become known and build trust. The old business cliche of, you do business with people you know and trust. So you get attention and you're building trust. That's all you need to do as a business owner on social media.
So we've been talking about social media a lot. Would you say that is the only content people should be creating? Or should people be focusing on blog posts, audio? I mean, we were talking about media. Are there any other areas you think they should focus, or is
I guess I consider it all social media. If you're making a blog post, it's going to go on Facebook. It's going to go on LinkedIn. It's going to go on your blog. Like, to me, that's all social media. Where I always start with clients, like, what do you like to do? Do you want to just talk and no video? Great. Start an audio podcast. Are you okay with being in front of camera, or do you want to be in front of camera? Great. Let's start with video. Do you like to write? Great. Right. Like, it really doesn't matter.
what if people know they have to do video, but they hate being on camera?
Suck it up, buttercup. No, but kind of though. Like, honestly, that's why I have clients. To be blunt, that's literally why I have clients. Is pretty much every single one of my clients that I work with in terms of their personal brand, all don't like. You have a 4K camera right here in your hand. And iPhones, Androids, they're all 4K cameras. They're $1,200. I think the newest iPhone's $2,500 now. Like, you have a professional camera in your hand. You don't need someone like me or an agency to work with. You need someone like a videographer, a filmmaker, an agency to help you for accountability, to know what to say, how to say it, and so that you keep showing up and that you have the confidence and the validation. Okay, I don't sound like an idiot. Like, I have a client who literally was freaking out, rescheduled on me 3 times. But I kept going, like, get on a call with her. Yeah, I want to do this. I want to do this. 3 days later, she cancels. Again, I call her, hey, what's happening? Okay, yeah, I want to do this. I want to do this. She was just so in her head. We do the shoot. And I'm like, okay, I don't know. We'll see how she is on camera. I don't know. She was unbelievable on camera. One of the best first-time clients I've ever had on camera. But she had just so much noise in her head. And again, she sees the edits. What about this? What about? I'm like, you look great. There's so much noise. And so the only way to quiet that noise is you just do the volume. You just outwork the noise.
All this is so helpful. I'm working on our 2026 content strategy right now, and I'm like, all right, just subtly taking notes while we're talking.
But I think just from what I think the best way to do it is long form video podcast, like a long form video content. Exactly what you guys are doing, I think, is one of the greatest strategies out there right now. Like, that is what I recommend people to do. Like, if they have the time and energy to invest in that, the time, money, energy, it's those kind of 3 things. If you can do it, it is the greatest leverage tool right now, because you want people to live with you, live with your brand for as long as possible. And then you have the ability to cut short form clips from it and use those basically as trailers for the long form. They're natural ads that can get millions of views for free. There's never been a time in history that you can get literally millions and to hundreds of millions of views for free. Like, think about the guy in 2020, Dogface 420 or whatever, who was drinking the juice riding the skateboard and got like 100 million views. And the juice company literally got like hundreds of millions of views for free. For free. There's never been a time in history that a brand can do that.
Or a moron, unfortunately. thinking about eating laundry detergent and things like that.
But I look at it as a business owner, and that's where it's like the staying on brand. It's like, look, you're not being an entertainer. Entertainers live and die by views. If you're being an entertainer, if you're being the Joe Rogan, the Caller Daddy from a long form podcast, or trying to be a TikTok influencer, or just a YouTuber, right? A Mr. Beast, he lives and dies by views. He gets paid by brands for views. That is how they make money. The same way as the biggest movies. That's why directors, like as a filmmaker, you go to director jail if your movie doesn't do well because you didn't make your money back. You make money by the amount of views you get.
But for somebody like us, I mean, we are Lifestar. We really don't care about 1 million views as much as maybe 1,000 views from the right people.
And that is exactly what I tell all of my clients. You do not need 1 million views. What you need is the right views. Because especially I work with a lot of B2B entrepreneurs or professional services. And I go, look, you couldn't probably handle 10 new clients this week. Like if your video got you 10 new clients, could you even handle that right now? I know in my business, if I had 10 clients sign up for my services this week, I don't know if I'm allowed to curse, but I would be insert all of the words.
Hey, just going back to the long form video, I was listening to a podcast a couple of weeks ago, and these guys were saying that, one of the things that's performing extraordinarily well now are these ultra long form, like 3-4 hour. I listened to a podcast. I shouldn't say I listened to it. I put on a podcast that was 4 hours the other day. I slept through the last 3.5 hours because it was bedtime. But I mean, people are making these really long pieces of content, and supposedly it's working.
People want to live with the brands, and look, it takes commitment, it takes energy, but like that's when you have true fans, true buyers, is that they're willing to live with you for 4 hours. Like it's a commitment. So you could do the 1 week, 4 hours. You can also do 4 1 hour a week. It's the same thing, if you think about it. And that's where just the quantity, again, it all goes back. I love that that's what we started with, because it is just such the titular foundation of this podcast, which is the amount of work it takes. Are you willing to even make a 4 hour long podcast?
We've never done it.
No, I think you're great.
But the amount of clips from it, the amount of work that takes to shoot it, to produce it, to edit it, to get it out there, to distribute it, that's a lot of work. I know, because I'm the one who gets hired to do this crap. It's a lot of man hours. 4 hours of editing, that's about 40 hours of post-production for the one video. Like on top of everything, like maybe 30 hours on the fast end. Like, and that's like if you're hustling it. But that's where you look at the brand. Like there's another gentleman in my space who used to be the creative director for Gary Vee and Alex and Layla Hermosi. I'm blanking on his name right now, and I feel like a butthead. But he focuses on long form solo videos and basically delivering a masterclass once a month on YouTube. He's made a video that was 6.5 hours long, and just a full masterclass on personal branding. And like, it's fascinating because the people who are really dedicated will watch it.
I mean, I'd watch Wicked Parts 1 and 2 back to back because I'm that invested.
And if you're 100%, look at us, especially in the age of binging. We are in the age of binging content, right? Oh, I don't want to watch an hour and a half movie, but I will watch 10 episodes of, that are each an hour long, all in one night. That's
My
10
husband has watched the entire series of The Pit in the past 5 days.
Oh, God.
And he works full time, and he's a family man, if that says anything about how late he's been staying up.
My wife and I love the show called Slow Horses it's on Apple, and we can't watch season 5 because we know we'll binge it, because season 4 and season 3, we watched all 6 or 8 episodes or whatever it was in, again, 48 hours. We just were like, next episode, because it's so good. And so that's where, again, improving the quality of content over time, you just got it's just making great content, but it's not going to come from day one. Your content day one's going to suck. Probably your first podcast was not good, I'm assuming. I don't know. Maybe
I haven't had the nerve to listen to it.
I was like, I'm assuming you are correct because it would probably be painful to listen to.
I know. I look at my first vlogs that I've done. Like, I've gone on and off from vlogging for fun. I'm like, what the was I doing? Or even like, not even, I was going to say actually vlogging from like 10 years ago when I really actually started vlogging, those are even more horrendous. And I'm a professional filmmaker. Like, this is what I do for a living, and it's horrendous. So it just gets better over time.
Yes, you got to put in those reps like we were talking about from the gym.
Mhm.
Well, Jake, I have no doubt that you will help some of our listeners, or many of our listeners, find success in this area, because we all need that little boost of confidence and a little bit of direction. So we ask all of our guests this question as it relates to success. What is your favorite quote about it?
Oh, I mean, I'm just going to take an Alex Hormozy quote that's on my wall right here. And it's probably, again, the theme of the episode, which is volume negates luck.
Oh,
Love it.
that's a new one.
Yeah.
That is a new one.
But I think Alex knows what he's talking about, so I'll take his word for it.
I'll give a little extra treat, which is I got 2 more quotes that are literally on my wall in front of me, which
Yeah.
is, it just takes doing the hard work, and the path of an exceptional person is one of exception. All 3, Alex Hormozy.
Okay.
That guy has
He's got quotes.
been successful, if some would say. So take his advice. Well, Jake, if people want to learn more about you, where can they find you?
LinkedIn is great. Jake Isham on LinkedIn is fantastic. Otherwise, you could search my name on pretty much any platform. I unfortunately have like 12,000 pages because I have pages for my photography, for my filmmaking, for my agency. So feel free to search my name and DM me.
And all of that will be in the show notes. But Jake, thank you so much for coming on today. Like I said, we could not have had this conversation at a better time as it relates to my own planning for next year. So thank you.
Fantastic. And we'll do a follow-up with a 4-hour version of this.
Very
Perfect.
good.
Perfect. And listeners, thank you so much for tuning in today. As always, leave that 5-star review. It helps us spread the word with other solopreneurs. Subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast platform, including YouTube, with these videos, the longer form content, and whatever else we tell people. We'll see you next time on The Aspiring Solopreneur.